Hi everyone, welcome back to Dream Build and Fly. I want to share something with you today. We had a little break of the weather here in Saskatchewan and it turned warm today. A little bit windy, but took the opportunity to get outside and do a bit of flying. Right around, temperature's right around zero, so it wasn't bad. The wind picked up a little bit, so a little cool on the hands, but we got out today and we were able to test fly this latest engine conversion project that I just finished up. So I do have some other videos linked up, a little bit of information on the engine that I will link up in the comments. So this is an old workhorse of mine. This plane is affectionately known as the de Havilland Muskrat. It's a test bed that I use to test some engines. It's been with me a long time. It's worn probably 6 different engines, most of them converted engines. So the engine we mounted on it, the latest mount here is a GX35 clone. So it's a engine that Honda built as a little utility engine. Unique in the fact for a utility engine that it actually has oil in the crankcase. So it's got about 0.4 liters of oil in the crankcase, and it distributes the oil around it and in a mist. It uses a system that mists the oil and moves it around via some of the airflow inside the engine. So they call it mist lubricated. Unique in the fact that you can orient it in different orientations and it still lubricates the engine. So it doesn't have an oil pump. It has a couple of slingers in there that churn this oil up, make it into a mist, and then it pumps it around. What we found out is it works upside down. So basically the test on this mount was to mount it upside down and fly it. Took it out today, put the skis on it. I love flying on skis. We put the skis on it, took it out, and absolutely had a blast. The engine ran like a top. It is quite a heavy engine, coming in around just over the 2 kilogram mark. So, 4.5 pounds. Actually shortened the nose. This plane has had a short nose. It went to a long nose for a light 2-stroke, and now it's back to a short nose. So we shortened the nose up a bit, put it on balanced without any tail weight, nose weight. Absolutely performed better than expectations. I wasn't expecting too much out of it power wise. 35cc 4-stroke. Some people commented when we were discussing this engine that I wouldn't be happy with the power. Absolutely very happy with the power. If I had to equate it to something, this aircraft did fly with a 28cc converted trimmer engine 2-stroke, about the same power as that. So, swinging a 16-inch prop. I might try an 18. I think there's a little bit more torque there to be had. So when we get more chance to test, we'll test an 18-inch prop on it. But I will link up, I will attach the flight video, some of the flight video today. Performed beyond expectation. Just for data, this is an 18-pound airplane. So 18-pound airplane, it's kind of a stick configuration, a thick stick, symmetrical airfoil wing, 18 pounds, 1,200 square inches of wing area. So, it's not a lightweight, flies on the wing, it's not a ballistic machine by any means. It needs the wing to do its work. So this engine, I think it has applications. It for certain scale jobs, a Cub, a Tiger Moth, some World War I stuff, I think this would be a good engine choice. Physically quite big for the size of the engine, quite heavy. But, if you have the right airframe, I think it's worth a consideration. It does run like a top. Basically the initial setup and the thing ran. I still have it set a little rich just for the break-in, but, can't be happier with how it's running. So there was some concern. People said they're oil leakers. I did have a couple drops of oil under it after a long storage period. I think eventually some oil migrates down. I think what happens is as you turn the engine over, there's an opportunity for some oil to get into the valve cover, and if that sits there, but as soon as it started, the oil went away, and now it's ran, and it's absolutely dry again. So happy with that. So I'll attach some of the flying video to the end here and have a look and see what you think. As always, like and subscribe. It helps us out. And as always, dream, build, and fly. So here we go with the flight trials of the GX35 engine conversion. Try to keep commentary to a minimum here. The engine's always started very good, so we'll just give her a real quick prime, a little flip a choke, and you'll see it starts up right away. So this is the first flap landing with this setup. Pretty effective flaps on this machine, so I dropped them for this landing. And then the takeoff using about half flap. Okay, this would be a half flap takeoff into the wind. Setting up here for a downwind pass. Not sure if I had it quite full throttle, but close, I think. fingers are cold by this time, but I thought I should grease one on for the last landing of the day. Since some of the snow was hip deep, I thought of a better way to get the aircraft back to my vehicle to back up. So. One important thing I'd like to note is the fuel burn of this thing. So basically I was out, 15 minutes flying, but, probably 10 minutes in the air of very spirited flying. Used about 200 milliliters of fuel. I did a fuel pull here when I got home because I couldn't believe that the tank was still as full as it was. So used about 200 milliliters of fuel for that, 7 ounces, maybe 7 ounces of fuel in that time. So very, very miserly on the fuel. So just want to show you something here. All that flying that we just did. Look at the fuel tank here. So if I had to estimate, I used about just a bit more than a quarter, maybe a third of a tank. So now that we know it flies, I will be pulling the engine, disassembling, and taking some measurements and producing some drawings for there have been some interested parties that want to maybe attempt this conversion, so I will be producing that and providing those. Thanks for watching.